Going back to one of our top stories, Minister of Higher Education and Training, Dr. Nzimande, is briefing the media on post-school education training 2017 opportunities. Let's cut live.
In 2017, about 63,950 students will be enrolling in scarce fields that include engineering programs, life and physical science programs, human health programs, and veterinary sciences programs. The mandate of the Department of Higher Education and Training is to develop a skilled and capable workforce that can contribute to an inclusive growth path. Central to achieving this mandate is ensuring student access to and success in technical and vocational education and training colleges, leading to intermediate and high-level skills. Indeed, TVET colleges play a very pivotal role in addressing South Africa's skills needs and cater for a wide spectrum and growing numbers of students. They offer flexible and diverse courses, ranging from full qualifications to short courses, skills programs, and what we call learnerships. Let me also say that while education is a key priority of government, we want to make technical and vocational education and training an apex of the post-school education and training system. We aim to produce employable young people with high-quality occupational and vocational education and training skills. In pursuit of the department's mandate to increase access and success in TVET college learning programs and to transform TVET colleges into institutions of choice, 3 new campuses will come into operation during 2017. And these are the Tabazimbi campus at the Waterberg TVET College in Limpopo, the Bambanani campus at Umfolozi TVET College in KwaZulu-Natal, in a place called Mhlabuya, and then the Nkandla A campus, also part of Umfolozi TVET College, Nkandla in KZN. All in all, those who have completed grade 12 with a minimum of a higher certificate achievement can consider studying further at one of the 50 public technical and vocational education and training colleges. In 2017, 207,510 new entrant opportunities will be provided by TVET colleges. The National Development Plan further requires that by 2030, at least 30,000 qualified artisans be produced per year. To this end, learners must continue to seek and utilize Sector Education and Training Authority, the SETAs, or the National Skills Fund, funded artisan learnerships or apprenticeships or opportunities to access artisan training in the various fields of engineering and services areas. Learners who have an inclination to become artisans, such as being motor mechanics, plumbers, electricians, and hairdressers, can register at our National Artisan Development Support Center, whose details are given in our statement, and we hope that the media will assist us to publicize this. They can also approach student support services at any of the public TVET colleges or the Keta Career Development Services at the department for more information. It is critical to note that in order to be accepted into an artisan training program, learners must have passed maths with a minimum mark of 50% and at least a pass in science. Learners who pass but do not achieve the required achievement level in maths and wish to consider a career as an artisan may also register for what we call the Generic Trade Preparation Program, which is a bridging course for artisan training at our National Center for Artisan Development that I was talking about. This National Artisan Development Center, in consultation with the SETAs, the National Skills Fund and the TVET colleges, will assist in the facilitation of the placement of these prospective artisan applicants. Out-of-school youth who wish to enter the world of work or need to increase their skills capabilities can also consider the options of learnerships, apprenticeships, and skills programs. TVET colleges also offer occupationally directed programs that are accredited by the SETAs under the auspices of the Quality Council for Trades and Occupations. SETAs will be providing 100,821 learning programs opportunities in the form of the following: 34,469 learnerships, 17,824 bursaries, 5,819 internships, 26,193 skills programs, 9,486 work integrated learning, and 7,030 apprenticeship opportunities. The National Skills Fund will continue to invest in TVET colleges, funding plus minus 15,000 learners per annum in occupationally directed programs which are linked to scarce and critical skills areas. All of this signals progress, but we cannot and should not do it alone. That is why we work with industry through the SETAs and through a multitude of other partnerships and cooperations to ensure that our country opens as many opportunities to young matriculants as humanly possible. We are grateful to all who put effort into this, and we will continue in 2017 to work with whoever we can to ensure as many opportunities for as many young people as possible across the economy. We call on business and the state-owned enterprises, municipalities, and other employers to redouble their efforts, join hands with us, and ensure that as many young people who are able to are actually afforded an opportunity to gain skills and make a life for themselves. So we are calling everyone who is an employer to open their operations, their workplaces, to absorb, for instance, as many interns and as many learners as possible. This is actually our national and patriotic duty. Ladies and gentlemen, a tremendous amount of progress has been made, particularly with regards to expanding access to the poor through the National Student Financial Aid Scheme, which has funded, since it started, over 1.7 million students since 1994. In 2016, NSFAS supported approximately 480,000 poor undergraduate students to access universities and TVET colleges. In 2016, NSFAS also disbursed loans and bursaries totaling 14 billion rand. During the medium-term budget policy statement, government announced that it will provide an additional 9 billion rands for NSFAS over the next 3-year period, raising its funding by over 18% to universities over the next 3 years to assist poor and missing middle students. Most commendably, NSFAS will be funding 205,000 first-time entering and continuing eligible students at universities and 200,000 students at TVET colleges in 2017 by providing student loans and bursaries totaling 15.2 billion rand. You will also have seen a number of interventions that have been announced to assist students who come from poor and working class families. Let me put this in simple language. This year, academic year in 2017, NSFAS students won't be paying any fee increase. In addition to NSFAS students, all those students who come from families who earn up to 50,000 Rand a month will also be paying no increase because government will actually be subsidizing them on that score. And that amounts to about 75% of university students who won't experience any fee increase. And for some universities, it will mean more than 90% of their students. Similarly, we are looking at an even higher figure of students from TVET colleges who won't be experiencing any fee increase. Those who will pay a fee increase capped at 8% are those who can afford and those who come from rich families. We have also gone further and made arrangements through NSFAS to pay the registration fees for all NSFAS funded students as an upfront payment to universities and TVET colleges in January each year. Therefore, NSFAS qualifying students will not pay any registration or upfront fees in 2017. Government has also addressed the issue of historical debt of NSFAS qualifying students. All NSFAS qualifying students who were registered in 2016 and were successful in their studies, but who have accumulated historical debt with institutions of higher education will be allowed to register in 2017. All universities will also develop processes to enable academically successful missing middle students who have outstanding student debt to register in 2017. Universities have also been requested to manage student debt through fair and transparent debt management policies in order to ensure that outstanding student debt is recovered over a reasonable period. During 2017, what we call the ikusasa Student Financial Aid Program model, which is aimed at assisting what we call the missing middle, will be piloted at 6 universities and 1 TVET college. The pilot will fund the studies of approximately 1,500 students studying in a number of general formative degrees, as well as 7 professional qualifications and 1 artisan qualification for the duration of their studies. It is also important to note that in addition to the money that NSFAS has received from the funds voted by Parliament, the National Skills Fund makes further annual allocations aimed at funding the full cost of study towards critical skills programs that are most needed for the growth and development of the economy. NSFAS has been allocated over 718 million rands for full bursaries for scarce and critical skills for the current year from the National Skills Fund. This funding is made available through the financial aid offices at institutions, and students wishing to make use of these bursaries are advised to enroll for critical skills study program, which includes science, commerce, health sciences, and engineering. The department is also committed to expanding access and success in our institutions for students who have special needs. At our TVET colleges, for example, government pays 80% of the program cost of the student's choice, with an additional allocation being made dependent on the type and severity of the disability. In addition, NSFAS has earmarked 76.6 million rand in the 27 academic year to provide financial aid to disabled students in universities. This is a sign of a serious government about improving access. That is why we call upon students to grab these opportunities with both hands and ensure that they concentrate on their studies so that they could be successful for their families and also for purposes of producing the skills we need as a country. In order to assist learners to make informed career and study choices, the department also operates what we call the CATA Multi-Channel Platform Career Development Service, which provides free access to career information, advice and guidance through telephone, SMS, social media, face-to-face, and outreach programs to schools, amongst others. Over the past 2.5 years, almost 51,000 individuals have made use of this service. Through the CATA radio program, the department also reaches about 3.5 million listeners on 10 SABC African language radio stations, including Afrikaans, on a weekly basis. I want to encourage learners who still need information, advice on where to go after grade 12, to contact one of these services. The department is also again operating what we call the Central Application Clearing House, CACH in short, this month of January and next month. The CACH service has been developed to assist learners who are eligible for higher education studies and have applied for a space at an institution but have not been offered a place at the institution of their choice after the grade 12 results were released. The CACH service aims to continually increase the placement ratio of prospective applicants into PSET opportunities, post-school education and training opportunities. It is also accessible to those learners who did not apply before the closing dates last year and now find that they are eligible for higher education studies. Although we do not encourage learners not to apply, as we run a program led by our Deputy Minister or for students to register now, as well as running those through our various platforms that I've just spoken about. For the 2016 year, a placement ratio of 40% was achieved, of which 53% was in university education using the CACH program or the CACH service. Learners looking for spaces at post-school education and training institutions can contact the toll-free call center, which again we hope the media will assist to spread this, which is 0800 356 635, or send an SMS with their name, ID, and contact number to 49200, and they will be called back. They can also access the system via our website, the details of which are provided there. Again, we request the media to help us publicize this. The CACH service will verify the learner's information and forward it to institutions that still have unfilled places. Where places exist and applicants meet the admission requirements, institutions will contact learners to offer them available places. Finally, the Presidential Commission of Inquiry into the funding of higher education and training is also set to release its final report in mid-2017, making recommendations on the feasibility of implementing fee-free higher education and training for the poor in South Africa. As Minister of Higher Education and Training, I am convinced that all these initiatives and campaigns create awareness and provide useful information to our youth about career and funding options for post-school education and training. We must again underline that there are national processes in place designed to identify a long-term solution to the question of university funding and fees. The Presidential Commission will report this year, and we urge all stakeholders to cooperate with this important process and give space to the finalization of the matter. We underline. As the facts and figures I have just mentioned show clearly, government has already done an enormous amount to meet the demands of those raising genuine issues, including a fee rise moratorium now in its second year, though we admit a lot more still has to be done. At the same time, however, legitimate student demands for accessible quality education, these also have shown a darker side. A variety of vested financial and political interests have also entered the scene, essentially hoping to reap benefits from these student demands. For instance, we have noted with deep concern how individuals with vested political and ideological interests have managed to turn what was essentially a peaceful student-led intersectional struggle into one characterized by violence and anarchy. It is also becoming more evident that some business interests are looking on with glee at what they hope will signal the collapse of the public higher education system in our country. The expectation is that the current crisis will drive quality and confidence in the public system to the point where scores will seek refuge in more stable and reliable private institutions. The casualties in such instance will be the poor and working class students, while students from the middle and upper class families will opt for private provision or to go and study abroad. Experienced academics, frustrated with the chaos in the public sector, will also be attracted abroad or to a more stable and better paying private sector. We are, by the way, already getting information that we are beginning to lose some academics in our public universities as a result of this instability. This means that those student leaders and organizations genuinely concerned about access and affordability should maintain high levels of vigilance, as there are opportunists in their midst ready to hijack their noble cause. On our part as government, we recommit ourselves to a genuine and honest process of engagement with key players, including student leaders. We are also pleased with the role played by progressive parent groupings and the clergy in a common endeavor to resolve the current crisis. The active involvement of broader society can only bode well for higher education moving forward. In conclusion, South Africa needs to focus on diverse options, not a disproportionate focus on universities, to ensure we produce skilled youth at different levels for our country's economic growth. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. I just want to take this opportunity before I open the floor up for questions to acknowledge our media colleagues from Cape Town. I just want to check if the line is open. Cape Town, are you there?
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you for joining us. We will be alternating the questions between the Cape Town GCI boardroom and here in Pretoria. Just before I open the floor, I just want to make very few things clear quickly. That for the purposes of time, would the colleagues please, I just want to urge the colleagues to be mindful of time and stick to the questions and make the questions as short as possible. If you could keep your questions to at least one question per person. We will be taking questions in batches of 5 people at a time. And then, as I said, we'll be alternating between the two venues. Please, as you raise your hand, before you answer, please give us your name and the organization that you represent. Okay, the floor is open now. I'll take the, I'll start with the gentleman at the back. Just before you start, and it will be followed by, I saw another hand here, a gentleman with a black t-shirt. That will be the second one. The third one will be a gentleman with a Scotch shirt. And the fourth one, over here. I'll start with you.
Good morning, Minister. Anton Meyer from Pretoria FM. I saw some figures this morning that at Wits University, they received 70,000 applications for first-year from first-year students. At UJ, it's the same. They received way more applications than they can allow at the university for first-year studies. The catch program that you talked about, can you tell us where these universities are that have unfilled spaces? I mean, 70,000 applications at Wits. Are you sure there are empty spaces at universities? And can you tell us which universities are these universities with unfilled spaces? Thank you.
Okay. Second one. Yes.
Yes. I'm Bongani Nkosi from the Sowetan. Yeah, I'm hoping either the minister or Mr. Daka could respond to this question. You know, so many students, especially on the NSFAS, Facebook page, have complained that they are yet to get responses from the funding scheme, despite applying last year. But then at the same time, we are seeing that universities have started registration. Especially UJ, they are announcing every time that the numbers are going up, of those who are registering. So my question is it fair that so many while so many are still waiting for responses, varsities are still have started registration? Is it fair and sensible?
Okay, next one, over to you, sir.
Good morning, Minister. Thank you for a great speech. My question is very simple. There is a list that has been doing the rounds in this country, and you are on the list. This is Mr. Cyril Ramaphosa's executive. The students are concerned, Minister, because your name is on that list. Does that mean you will return as a minister, or do you have presidential aspirations? Thank you.
Please, we didn't get your name and organization.
Okay, Sifiso Mahlangu, ANN 7.
That's a question from ANN 7. Yes.
I would need another hand, one more hand for this first batch.
It was me, sir. It was me. Yes.
Yeah, over to you,
Samgelo Mazego from Jacaranda FM. Thank you for taking my question. Minister, how are you planning to curb fees must fall reloaded? We understand that some students are already planning to go and protest. Wits University students were not happy with the fee increments that was announced by Adam Habib last year when they had already gone home. How are you planning to curb a violent protest this time around? Thank you.
Then Samgelo, I'll need one more hand to complete the batch. Yes, lady in the front.
Helena Silo from Power FM. Just some clarity, Minister. What happens to students who will need to pay that upfront fee, say at Wits University, where it's over 9,000 Rand? Are there processes underway that they won't have to, or will those only kick in later in the year? Thank you.
Thank you. This will conclude the first batch for this venue, and then we'll move to Cape Town next. I'll hand it over to the panel. Over to you.
Okay. Minister. Thank you. I will give to the DG to answer two questions. The one on catch, because it may require a bit more detail, as well as the upfront fee registration for students. Was that Pretoria, Mr. Mayor? I think the question, I'm glad this question is being asked because I think that we need to clarify the issue of so many applications and yet so few spaces. Because I think the media must help us to actually explain. Let me give you an example. You will find that, now this is not guesswork, because if you look at our statement, it tells you how many students actually qualify to do degrees at university. It's only 167,000. That's it. Now, this then should help us to understand that there is a big difference between application and those who ultimately end up passing or qualifying. Because many students apply hoping that they will pass, many of them do not pass. And also they apply to more than one institution. So if media can help us not to create this hype, because it's just a hype that is not there. Every year we issue figures of how many students actually qualify to enter university. It's far less than the number of applications. So that's my answer to that question. We've provided, just look at the figures that we have provided. Perhaps if I could just go back quickly just to remind you. Of the 610,000 students who wrote, only 162,374 are eligible for admission to bachelor studies. And only 179,619 are eligible for admission to diploma studies. And only 100,000 learners are eligible for admission to higher certificates, which, by the way, are done both at universities and at TVET colleges. We are not saying that there is no pressure on the system, but it's not as much as is normally presented. In other words, number of applications is not a measure of what the real situation is. If I had my way, I would say, let's not even talk about that, and rather focus on what happened. You can look at our statements since our department started, when we've actually been responding to the matric passes, and you will see what normally the ratio is. So I just thought, let me use this opportunity to explain that. Now, in other words, I'm saying number of applications is not a scientific measure to determine the pressure in the system. Much as there is pressure, is not as much as just if you look at the number of applications and what universities say they have. Maybe the CEO of NSFAS, Mr. Daxa, will add here whether is it fair for universities to start registrations whilst NSFAS, some students claim that they have not received NSFAS responses. Maybe when I finish, I will hand over to you just to explain that properly. No. That's unfair to ask me that question. That's not the place to do that. Maybe for the record, I would like to say that I have not campaigned to be on any list. And no one should use my name to punt a factionalist list. But I can't say more than that. It's not the place to do that. If you want to know my views on the side, we are more than happy. And also if you want to know the views of the South African Communist Party, of which I'm its General Secretary, I'm more than happy to engage you outside this. Let's focus on the issue at hand for now. Samger, we are going to do all we can as government, as we've done, including the measures that we've announced here, in order to ensure that there is stability in our institutions. And we are going already, we've set up meetings to engage with all stakeholders. Right now, at the beginning of the year, over the next 2 weeks, I'm going to be engaged in a variety, next 2 to 4 weeks actually, together with the Deputy Minister and the senior officials in the department, to actually engage so that we try and minimize. And we are of the view that with these kinds of interventions that we've made as government, we expect that the students grab this by both hands and focus on their studies. DG?
No, thank you very much, Minister. I think the first question the Minister has answered quite adequately, but you must also bear in mind that students normally do not apply only to one institution. They would apply to 2, 3 institutions. So that student would be counted twice or thrice. So even those who may apply in 4 institutions, they will be counted as one. I think that's one dimension that we need to take into consideration. And our assistance in respect to CAT, for instance, it only assists those students who may not have been placed at that point in time to match up the available places across the entire country, both universities as well as technical and vocational education and training on the one hand, as well as in the sector education and training system space on the other hand, and ensuring that everybody is actually assisted at least to access an opportunity to further his or her studies. I thought I just need to clarify that the upfront payment, government has made arrangements for the students from poor and working class families, that is those who are NSFAS beneficiaries, to be relieved of this burden. And it has been happening for quite some time now. We have just intensified it for this current year, and also ensuring that we take into consideration even the aspects where there may be debt for one reason or the other that those students would be carrying, that government would actually be paying. And every other student, it's a question of who does payment. There is no student who's accepted in any institution without payment. The question is, who does payment? We do payment for NSFAS beneficiaries, 100%, and it's guaranteed. And institutions do make arrangements with respect to other categories of students as to how that payment should actually be done, and they'll still be doing that going forward in respect to upfront fee payments. There are systems in place in each and every institution, and students are aware of those, and institutions have been encouraged to exercise themselves in this area in a fair and transparent manner that looks to assist students not to have glitches when they are going through that process. But each and every one of us has to take responsibility in respect to what is due to you insofar as registration and payment of fees in our institutions are concerned, so that they are able to function and offer quality programs as we all desire for the entire system. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Honorable Minister.
There is still NSFAS.
Oh.
The NSFAS question.
Just to deal with the question on the registration at universities, while some students are still waiting for outcomes of their applications at NSFAS. First point, NSFAS has reopened applications on the 9th of January until the 20th of January for students who want to study at universities, which therefore means that there are students who are still applying. And we're working together with universities to synchronize those processes. Universities have to continue registering. And the universities that have started registering, we are providing the list of students who are funded in batches, where some students are still applying at those universities. But again, some universities have instructed us not to give them any list until post the closing date of the 20th of January, because they don't have sufficient applicants even now for funding purposes. Therefore, that process is being run by NSFAS together with the universities. What we're seeing is there is panic in the system, because usually after the matric results come out, students rush to university, but this is a different year. Some students were at university last year are still writing 2016 exams now, which means processes are much slower this year at universities than they were in the previous years. But students who are coming from grade 12 expect things to be happening at the same pace that they were happening in the previous years, but things are different. Some academic years will only start in March, and therefore the universities have said, let's first, don't give us a list now, give us list later, because our processes will start later this year than in a normal academic year. Thank you.
But by the way, let me just add this with your permission, because I think the first question there was also something that about which universities still have got spaces.
And that were live visuals of the Minister of Higher Education and Training, Nzimande,